Good evening again. I'd like to call the committee of the whole for the Village of Cary for Tuesday, October 20th, 2020 to order with roll call, please.
Weinhammer.
Here.
McAlpine.
Here.
Kraus.
He had to leave.
Oh, that's right. Collier. Here. Betts.
Here.
And Cavelli.
Here.
Thank you. Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll now move to the public comment where anybody is invited to address the committee of the whole. Anybody here want to? Not many people are here, so we'll go ahead and close public comment at 6:13. Now the business at hand is a discussion regarding capital project plannings for the Rebuild Illinois Bonds Fund. You're going to kick this off, Dick, or is Eric going to do it?
Yep, Eric's going to roll right into it.
Okay. Hey, Eric.
All right, thank you, Mayor and village trustees. This evening, we have before you a discussion on the capital project planning for our Rebuild Illinois bond funds. So if you may recall, these are the funds that have been distributed by the Illinois Department of Transportation. Each of the municipalities has been given a certain amount of money based on a similar formula to the allocation of motor fuel tax dollars. So in the Village of Cary's case, over a span of a few years and individual installments, we will be receiving approximately $1.2 million, which can be then used for eligible projects. And the slide before you, you see some of the criteria that are outlined by the DOT, specifically land acquisition, design, construction engineering services for what they're considering bondable transportation-focused improvements. Now we are, on our end, as well as through the Illinois Municipal League, we are seeking some additional clarification and guidance from the Illinois DOT with regards to what the specifics are on qualified projects, but our latest understanding does match what I've listed here currently. And we're hoping to get some additional guidance reported to us, I think as soon as today or tomorrow. But because of the funding source for this money, that term bondable improvement, that does carry with it the fact that it does have to have a useful life of greater than 13 years. These are projects that are not maintenance focused, but new roadway projects. So things like resurfacing and preventative maintenance programs are not eligible. In addition, the preliminary guidance we received from our individual consultation with IDOT through our consultants has also been that standalone transportation alternative projects, so things like bike paths and pedestrian improvements, are not eligible unless they're part of a larger bondable transportation project or a larger roadway project. And they've also said the same about visual enhancement projects, which would be things like streetscapes and plazas. They have said that those also would not be eligible for use of these funds. So given those parameters, we have looked at a few scenarios that we want to present to the committee this evening to get some feedback on the board's preferences and priorities for the types of projects you would like to see spent with this money. So again, keeping in mind, we have several different types of projects that are in our radar, and some of them we just reviewed previously at other committee meetings with our upcoming ITEP grant application, which we're given the direction to proceed with the bikeway improvements that are highlighted in green on the screen before you. So those are the West Main Street, Credens Avenue bikeways, as well as a route around downtown and on Janus Road with a new bike path. And embedded in that would be the signal improvements to replace those and modernize the signals, make them ADA compliant at the High Road West Main intersection. So the first set of scenarios are assuming we are successful in that ITEP grant. We have a couple options for projects that would appear to meet at least our current understanding of the Rebuild Illinois Bond Fund guidance for eligible projects. So this first one here shows that with the ITEP grant in hand, which we cross our fingers will come to pass, one option would be to proceed with our West Main Street reconstruction project. So that would be the rebuild of West Main between High Road and Spring Street and incorporate incorporate the streetscape elements and pedestrian improvements that were part of that design, which is currently nearly shovel-ready. It was part of our original master plan for downtown and had just been awaiting some funding. We previously applied for ITEP grant funding on that project a few years ago, but were not successful. But this project with the reconstruction of Main Street itself appears to be something that could be a possibility with the Rebuild Illinois money. And then in concert with that, since pedestrian plazas are not eligible for this particular pot of money, we do have the option with local funds to go forward with what we'll call a downtown gateway development. So a pedestrian plaza in a civic area and the former depot building site at the northeast corner of West Main Street and Spring Street. So that would be scenario 1. 2, we would keep the ITEP project the same, but would also incorporate the reconstruction of Spring Street, and then also incorporate within that a veneer concept, which is a multi-use roadway idea, which I will expand upon in a bit with other slides. And then depending on the exact costs of those projects, because we're going to be giving you some just approximate estimates since there hasn't been engineering done on these yet, at least with the Spring Street and the Depot Plaza. The remaining funds in that Rebuild Illinois money could also go towards the engineering of the Maplewood Access Road and the Cary Industrial Drive intersection, which had been looked at in concept at previous capital improvement programs, and it's something that could be of value, I guess, even ahead of a future development over the Maplewood property site. So that would be the scenarios with the ITEP grant awarded. And then if the grant were not awarded, then we could, again, refocus ourselves in similar scenarios, either going with the West Main Street project, but then bring back in that signal modernization at High Road with the streetscape project. And alternatively, again, bring back that signal project because it is a higher importance just given the age of those signals and an immediate need within the next couple of years. And then also focus back onto the Spring Street project. But just as a refresher for some of these projects, the West Main Street Reconstruction project, currently with some of the engineering and construction, it's estimated between $900,000 and $1.2 million, which again would put it within the realm of the amount of money we have coming in from Rebuild Illinois. That includes streetscape elements like decorative gateway columns, catenary lighting, pavers in the parking lanes, decorative benches, and all new sidewalks. Now, this is a newer project, a newer idea, the Spring Street Reconstruction. This has a similar footprint and probably a similar price tag, depending on how far we take the veneer concept southward along Spring Street. It could be between 800 and 1.2 million, 800,000 and 1.2 million. So in this concept, what we would do is take the area that we currently have occupied with our, what we called our fresco alley concept, with the temporary closure and the outdoor dining that we have on Spring Street. This idea would rebuild the roadway to bring the pavement surface to the same elevation as the sidewalks, and then utilize landscape features like raised planter beds and street furniture to delineate that shared roadway aspect. And then also make it very easy to close the roadway for special events, or even possibly just on weekends if you want to bring back the outdoor dining, just on maybe a Friday night through Sunday type of concept, or for certain special events like maybe a farmer's market or other needs. But then also bring it easily back to the shared use to where traffic can then proceed to use the roadway and park along the roadway. So just another view of that from Main Street looking south. And then looking northward from the middle of the block there, you get a better view of the idea where the outdoor seating on the sidewalks could continue, and then quite easily, if the roadway is temporarily closed, expand outward as needed. I mentioned that it could be scaled, that depending on how far we carry that concept. I think at a minimum, the halfway point in the block would make sense and then allow us to economically, but then still improve the roadway to the south, having a separate turn lane, change the angle of parking to 90 degrees. So that way, if the roadway is temporarily closed, we have this ability to convert this to two-way traffic more easily for the access to the driveway and the parking that would still remain open for public use. As I mentioned, for special event closures, the implementation of removable bollards, as opposed to having to drag out separate temporary barricades, would be a convenient feature for our public works staff to, again, mobilize quickly and open and close the roadway as needed, depending on the needs and the desires to use that as a multi-use space, whether it be for a tent for a special event, similar to our downtown strategic plan we had a few weeks ago, or for open dining, or like I mentioned, even a farmer's market could fit there. And moving to our concept of the downtown gateway plaza development, this would be with engineering between $600,000 and $800,000. So again, we're proposing that this could be a potential new civic space. So in place of the current 90-degree kiss and ride parking you see here in the old depot building, those would be removed and reconfigured into what could be the new entrance to our downtown. From this concept, you see the background, the Spring Street Reconstruction that does play pretty very well in partnership with the idea here over at the Depot Plaza. Leaving the existing pump house in place, we change the curb lines, bring the pavement up to the same level as the current plaza, and then add in some different civic outdoor use spaces for gatherings. One idea I think would draw more people to the space, whether or not there's even a special event there, could be the implementation of a outdoor gas fireplace feature and some built-in sitting walls and seating, so that there'd be again a place to gather just during the day, or and especially when you have other special events like our very well-attended cruise night, once that returns again soon, hopefully the next couple years. Some shade structures, and then maybe the option for a possible utilization of some of the newer generation artificial turf, which you maybe see in some of the more recently constructed playing fields and professional stadiums. The new products have come a long way compared to the old green carpets that used to be used. These have the look and feel and the texture of regular grass, but eliminate the need for a lot of the maintenance, and they maintain their basically manicured look much better. And of course, being right adjacent to the metro station, we would also suggest the implementation of additional bicycle parking. Again, allow people to take advantage of the new bikeways that are hopefully being constructed as part of our ITEC project. And then again, it's just the general use of the metro station, allowing another mode of transportation to get to and from our commuter facility. Just another angle and close-up of the potential fireplace feature and how it blends in with the streetscape elements, so maybe the gateway column, maybe some intersection, catenary lighting, and so forth. And of course, that reconfiguration of that kiss and ride area, making it more of a lane for drop-off and pickup, also has the benefits of not just being utilized on the metro station commuter rail side, but also for any potential transit options that might occur, or which is more and more common these days, the ride sharing services as well could drop off and pick up from that space. Another project that the board has seen before is the West Main Street and Spring Street intersection. So this would be kind of in concert with the future West Main Street streetscape improvements. We'd have some catenary lighting over just the intersection to start with, which then could then blend into the future phase of streetscape work. Possibly the gateway column, some additional curb bump outs that would complement and work in concert with the other curb bump out that we implemented recently on the other corner of that block. staggered crosswalk treatments, and then some other additional features, Plaza features on that wide sidewalk that we recently implemented, which could include a raised bed in our existing planter area to mirror the existing wall that sits over at the corner of Spring Street in Maine, and additional raised planter beds, and the street art and the Cary signage that we had previously shown in our last budget workshops. And finally, as I mentioned, if there is room from the selected project in the Rebuild Illinois Fund, we may have room to still do some engineering. So this would be the preliminary engineering to actually define specific costs, configurations, and right-of-way needs for the intersection improvement at Cary, Algonquin Industrial, and as well as the access road over to the North Commuter Lot. So with that, we'd love to hear the committee's feedback on if there's a preference with the Rebuild Illinois money to move towards either the Spring Street Reconstruction project or the West Main Street Reconstruction project, and any other feedback or questions you might have.
Unfortunately, we can't do everything.
I vote for all. Come on.
But, I think Public Works has painted a great picture of what the downtown could be. I think that the board, in discussions I've had with board members offline, there's interest in, continued investment in our downtown. I'm a big believer that you have to nurture your downtown. We've got some tired areas here. One of the big ones is just that Metro building. That Metro building, that's why we're talking here now is, we're looking to hopefully take that down next spring, and it'd be nice to have a plan drawn up for that. And would like to get your feedback. Like Director Morimoto mentioned too, for the ITEP dollars, it's deciding if it's Spring Street or Main Street. Previously, I think we were leaning towards Main Street, but just based on the feedback that we've got from residents, businesses, there's a strong interest to continue that closure of Spring Street. So we've come up with some ideas of how we can enhance it. So to break it down for decisions here with the village board, Main Street, Spring Street, and then do we want to proceed with the depot? Typically, we have this discussion at our CIP meeting, but this is important for us to know where you want to go so that we can put stuff together, package everything to have costs for you when we get into our CIP meeting in January. So appreciate any feedback that the committee has.
Let's get the conversation going. Trustee Weinhammer, do you have any comments or any preferences
So
on that?
just reconfirming, this is all going to be based upon grant money,
Some of it we have, yeah.
right?
The graphs, with the exception of the depot would be.
Yeah, through the rebuilt funds, we're getting 1.2 from the state of Illinois. And it's a decision here of, and two of these projects can be scaled, but we're looking right now as, Main Street or Spring Street. The depot project, which I believe is a priority of the village board, to do it right the first time, that money would be coming from a building fund transfer. And again, that could be scaled depending on the costs. We don't have the exact cost or estimates right now.
Okay. Eric, you did a really nice job on this. So my preference would be in the order that it was actually presented. So with Main Street being my first preference, and then followed by Spring Street. I know I've said this before, I don't want to sound super negative, but I'm not a fan of the Cary sign, that metal or whatever it's supposed to be, Cary sign. But I did like, most traffic goes through downtown Main Street. So that was my preference is if we have the money and it's grant money to go ahead and start with the Main Street first.
Okay.
And it also follows a comprehensive master plan.
Right.
So.
I totally agree. I would love to do all of it. I think they're all great ideas, and as always, Eric, you do a fantastic job with the visualization and putting everything together. I think that there is a lot of interest in Spring Street, and I think that went phenomenally. I know I've spent a lot of time there since that opened up. I think that we still can continue to use it next year if we so choose to do that. But I'd like to see, I think that the visualization, if you come into town and you've got the old metro station down and that's all reconfigured, and then you've got your Main Street going, I think that presents a very enticing visual appearance for our town, and I think that that's a well-spent money.
Thank you.
But I like it all.
Yeah, look at all. I'm definitely in favor of Main Street, starting with that. If there's a possibility to blend both those kind of together and space them together with Spring Street and Main, I'd kind of like to see that, but, and the depot, I definitely want to see down, and I like the concept of that a lot. It looked really great.
Chris?
I like Main Street, definitely Main Street for me. Definitely the depot. I do like the little, on Spring Street, if possible, to put those stakes.
Yep.
I like those stakes, just when.
The
if we-
bollard, the bollards?
The bollards, right.
Yep, okay.
Just if we wanted to
Close it.
stop the traffic there, that we could put the bollards there and use Spring Street. I like that look. Yeah, but I love the depot,
And those parking spots in Spring at the end, to change them to pull-in parking instead of the parallel would be, if we could somehow work
I
part of
agree.
that in there, maybe.
Okay, Trustee Cavelli?
Very nice job, Eric. I really appreciate all the visuals you give us all the time because I could not imagine this. And that depot is amazing. I love the concept of a fireplace. I think that's something that would get a lot of use. One of the things I just like to mention about the depot is I believe it's Libertyville that has a bike repair station by the bikes. I would be interested in something like that as well. But I'd probably go with Maine over Spring just because, again, just of the use, like everyone kind of already mentioned. But I think the Spring area, I love what's been done with it, and I think that would be great too, eventually.
I'll echo everybody else here. Eric, outstanding job. I know Courtney was involved in this as well, so thank you very much for putting this so we can all visually appreciate the potential of our downtown. I agree that Main Street and the depot should be our main focus. I think there may be renewed opportunities down the road, potentially, hopefully, with grant opportunities as we move forward. But I think right now, the way it worked out on Spring Street this year was doable, and I think it was effective. You know, we can kind of improve upon it next year if that's the direction that we want to go. But I think to invest the money, the state's money that. Although they're very generously giving this, sometimes when they move the goalposts on us midstream, it makes things a little bit more difficult for us. But I think that the collaboration with this board and our staff to get this done is going to make something very cool in our downtown. And one of the things I talked to Jake about regarding these as well is that this really will fall in line with what we're doing with our downtown. With the grant that we have for the RTA. This is something that has been run by them as well. So this all kind of falls in line with everything to the vision. And I know the village board is very strong about making this public pedestrian right away where the station is right now, the old station is going to be a great asset to the community as well. So if anybody has any other questions or you think, that when you, Trustee Cavelli, when you talk about the bike repair, that's just like when they have the kits and the tools and things that are there for bikers to use, like a small bench that they can put their wheels on and kind of make some repairs. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's something that could, I believe, easily be added in there. But anybody else have any other questions regarding this?
That's great.
There we go. There's your bike repair station.
Okay, look at that.
Ask and you shall receive.
Yes.
That's Eric.
But that's a great idea. That's something that Eric will put on his list now. But I think we have our marching orders for staff with the vision
The
of the board
depot
is
in Main Street.
depot
Yeah.
and Main
Main
Street. Yep.
I should add, though, too, we still have to get, which is why we want to talk to you here to understand the direction. We've got to draw up the plans, and so we'll be working with Christopher Burke on that for the depot site. Our plans need to be submitted to Union Pacific. Union Pacific has to approve that depot area since that is their property. So there's some things that still could change. This is going to be a little bit of a fluid situation here as we work with Union Pacific. So it's a great plan, and like everyone said, it's Director Morimoto did a good job of visualizing this and putting it together, but we still have to get approval for that. So.
Okay, anybody else have any other comments about this or anything? Nope. Okay, I will entertain a motion.
Eric, you got everything you need?
I guess we do. Thank you very much.
Great.
I'll entertain a motion
Thanks,
to
everyone.
adjourn. I need a roll call for the adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Weinhammer,
Yes.
McAlpine,
Yes.
Collier,
Yes.
Betts,
Yes.
Cavelli.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
That's all right.
That's amazing.
So are you done with your assignment?